it means that he has draw odds in this game.
I feel like we're going from Coliseum to Coliseum, just gladiator battles everywhere, and they've all been worthy of our time. Here we go, Nihal, Sarin, 2 out of 3, draw advances versus Esipenko. And just that other match, holy smokes, Hans with white, he just lost with white. He had all the advantages of the match. Now he needs to defend with black to make it to Armageddon.
Yeah, they can flip that quickly in this format. Just one game, you think you're the one leading, dictating the pace, the momentum. It can quickly shift the other way. So we're focused on these 2 qualifying matches, right? Obviously in the lower bracket, Levon Aronian is against Alexander Grishuk, and Prague is against Geary. So those are the matchups there. And we'll obviously keep our attention here because right now we can learn who is actually going to earn their first qualifying spot.
Yeah, in this position, Nihal has done a good job in the opening. We see lots of exchanges, which is favorable for black. And not only that, white has a C2 and A2 isolated pawn. And when you have isolated pawns like that, even rook endgames, even in situations like maybe down a pawn, isolated pawns are very bad in endgames, long-term weaknesses. And that's just going to give Nihal targets in the long term. Yes, D4 is being targeted by white, and you could look at some tactics where it's like, well, at some point white can just win that pawn. Maybe right now, rook E8, queen E8. But Nihal will have so much counterplay. I could show you rook E8, queen E8. If you trade on D4, I'll play queen E8 to A4, hitting C2 and A2 potentially, and even a position like that where white's up a pawn, everything is hanging, and we get closer and closer to a drawn endgame. So big thing for Esipenko, the pressure's on him, because every single decision he has to think about, do I have enough to squeeze this? Do I have enough for realistic winning chances? And right now, I don't see it in the position, but we've seen Esipenko play some great chess here, very resourceful. In their first game against Nihal, when Esipenko had white, he took what looked like a very even position, outplayed Nihal, got into a winning position before blundering a pawn, but he showed that he can absolutely squeeze what looks like nothing, get something out of it.
And it was against Nihal, as you just mentioned. Like, that's what I keep thinking back to, is that Esipenko is really only here because of an amazing victory, in the final hour against Nihal, who looked unassailable back in the group stage. He beat him. That's why he's here. Now they're kind of, facing off again. So will he be able to do it one more time? Take a position with not a lot of life in it and outplay Nihal. This one is much different. Nihal is looking in control here. However, you can grab this pawn in the center of the board. It just looks like there will be a lot of ways that black can react. Of course, queen out to A4 in the future will be a nice idea. And there's also rook E8 on the open file. You have to be a little bit careful about potential back rank issues, right? The white king doesn't have an escape square. Black's king does. And queen A6 played is trying to keep something in the position. But I have to say, Eric, the more I look at this, the more I'm thinking that Nihal has done such a tremendous job at just liquidating and making sure that everything is getting traded off the board.
Yeah, he's doing all the right things and he's staying up on the clock. At the same time, I think Esipenko's made the right decisions. If he took on D4, that queen A4 line looked equal. In this position, it's still equal, but that pawn on D3 is a little closer for white's king to defend when you talk about weaknesses. And at least that D4 pawn is on a dark square. However, Nihal immediately playing knight A4, his body language, he's going to put the knight on C3 and saying, look, nothing. You don't have anything here. And Esipenko's got a real tough choice because he's still got back rank issues. If he goes bishop D4, you trade everything. You can go rook D8. You could go knight C3. And I don't see how white even keeps playing the board. I think white will lose that extra pawn and still at some point has to play H3. So wouldn't even be on the better side of it.
Right. Yeah, that does check out here. Knight A4. looking really, really promising. And of course, you can kind of feel it. The body language from Esipenko, he feels he has to capture here. And in comes knight to c3 as expected. The a2 pawn is loose here. Maybe he'll have a different move as well, but certainly knight takes a2 is perfectly acceptable. He's got a lead on the clock. He's also got the outside pass pawn. It's looking very, very good.
Yeah, I'm expecting maybe a funny looking move like knight c1. It forces rook a3, and then you might have time to play a6 or look for a better move. You could play a5 here. The idea for white is after a5, you play rook a3. Unfortunately, black doesn't have time to play rook c8 because of knight e7 check. So just trying to find something. Yeah, knight c1, and okay, look at that. So king f1 is going to be played. You got to stop rook e1, and you'd rather bring your king in the center if you're going to pursue that. And then Nihal is probably going to go rook e6. Because then if knight a7, I think the move rook d6 ends the pawn on d3. And
yeah, just eliminates any hope that you might have of winning the a pawn, keeping the material. So calm, cool, collected, just the body language of the demeanor of Nihal. It's like he's got it all figured out.
No, I'm Nihal today. Holy smokes. White can't afford to take on a7 because of this rook d6 move, so keep the pieces on the board. Then you got to play moves like knight b4. Knight b4 played on the board, defends d3 on a good day. If you get the opportunity with your king, you want to walk it from f1 to e1 to d2, defend the pawn with your king so that your pieces don't have to defend it, and you can once again put pressure on the a7 pawn.
And knight c2, maybe you have the idea of knight e1, right? Just like completely retreating just to hang on to that d pawn.
I think Nihal also had rook d6 in that position with the idea king e1, a5.
That may have been a bit better.
That would have been one way to force it. I would not like to allow white's king to defend d3 and then be stuck defending the a7 pawn. So I'm not sure if Nihal missed something there. I'm pretty sure rook d6 and a5 was the most precise, but it's still very much a draw with
He also has rook b3. Like, you can go rook b3 here, trade pieces that way. I think that's also very acceptable. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see rook b3. It just feels like in a knight endgame, if you have the outside pass pawn, like sure, Esipenko's happy because at least he's continuing to play, but realistically, the outside pass pawn should be good.
Outside pass pawn, yeah, should even be better. In this case, probably not, but I mean, it's not something you usually ever have to worry about losing. The king and pawn endgames are winning with the outside pass pawn, and otherwise, just knight versus knight. No, this is Esipenko's trying his hardest. He's being a total warrior here. Fortunately for him, even if he ends up drawing this game and getting kicked down, he's not eliminated.
That's right. Yeah, he moves down to the
loser's bracket, but an advanced stage to the loser's bracket. And with the way he's playing, he's running into one of the hottest players in terms of form in the event. I would be fairly confident that, he will be very competitive in the loser's bracket. King c4, there's not too many things to watch out for. You might not want to allow white's king to move up to c5 and c6 to try to push that pawn through. That just might be a bit of a danger zone. What you'd like to do is use that a pawn, distract white's king until you can place your black king on the d5 square. You get it to the d5 square, you hug that d4 pawn, and then you're ready to capture it.
Yeah, he's basically looking to play a4, a3, a2. Even if the white king goes and takes it, king d5 coming up, obviously repetition. You just can't afford to do that if you're Esipenko here.
Yeah, you can't afford, if this was just a normal chess game, you go for the a5 pawn and you lose d4, then all of a sudden black's king is closer to your kingside pawns, and you're probably looking at a very bad endgame. So Esipenko is now getting close to the stage or realization that his chances are done because King knight d6, king a4, king d5, exactly what we spoke about, and he's going to lose the d4 pawn by force, because the knight on d6 can always add support by going to f5. White's knight ever retreats to f3 to support the d4 pawn, but you can't play a basic endgame with your king on the wrong side of the board. You will be down in every single variation.
Nihal is looking poised to draw this game and win this match and be our first qualifier. King's coming to d5 and a gentleman's draw offer, gentleman's draw accepted, and that will win the match. And look, a lot of sportsmanship actually between these two at the end of the game, as Esipenko is not out. You pointed that out. Don't think that means he's gone. He's just dropping down to the lower bracket, and we'll certainly see more of him. He'll actually be playing the winner of Aronian and Grishuk.
When a player wins the match like Nihal did, and he makes it to the main event, he goes to the keys and he signs an unsigned key tablet. We're going to see that. We see that on screen right now. Remember, they have this special trophy and procedure they're going through this year. And Nihal is the first one through.
Yeah, that's quite something to just be the first one as well. There's four keys, and we get to watch this moment happen. It's quite a big deal, and it's happening while the other matches are still in progress. So while others are grinding away, trying to earn those qualification spots, amazing to see the signature go on, and officially Nihal Sarin is one of the last chance qualifiers.
Big congratulations to Nihal. He absolutely earned it. We've been so impressed. We have memorable moments from his games, like some moves he found. That's why his opponents, also like showing respect, because he earned it. He found stuff.
He tried.
Wow. I mean, just incredible. But in the meantime, he's made it. He can go relax, prepare for the EWC event starting Tuesday. But everyone else still in the event is fighting for the remaining 3 spots.
Yeah, we still have the semifinal match, Hans Niemann, Yavakir Sindarov, and then of course in the lower bracket, Levon Aronian and Alexander Grishuk are battling. Only one can move on, and Giri and Prague are also in the thick of it right now.
Try to take you guys to that game the soonest moment here. But what you're watching is Nihal Sarin qualifying through the